Today we're going to talk about a super popular plant, which is blue elder. There's one right here. I'm on a Forest Service road. We're on Forest Service lands. This is a pretty good place to harvest, and I'm on the east side of the Cascades where elderberry really likes to grow. The berries are kind of heavy. In fact, it's so heavy that this entire thing is just drooping down. And this is blue elder, which is sometimes known as Sambucus caerulea and sometimes known as a subspecies of Sambucus nigra, which is black elder. But it's called blue elder because the berries are this color, and this is actually a yeast bloom that makes that white coating on the outside of the berries. And these are the ones native to the Pacific Northwest that we use for syrups and stuff like that. Let's look at how to identify blue elder. As you can see, the berries are big drooping clusters of white blueberries with dots on the end of each berry. The stems are reddish, and they can also be green or black, but they look a lot like capillaries. Blue elder has 3 to 5 pairs of leaves with one on the end. In botany, we call that a pinnate leaf arrangement. There's also finely serrated teeth on the edges of the leaves. The woody branches have these little wart-like structures called lenticels, like cherry trees, and it also has red stripes on the bark. This plant flowers from May to July with these beautifully aromatic white flowers. The range of blue elder is interesting. It's not actually just it only grows east of the Cascades and none grows west of the Cascades. It actually grows in both areas, and it seems to just like slightly drier climate, but not too dry. You can see that eastern Oregon doesn't grow at all, and in the Columbia Basin doesn't grow at all. It's too dry, but the Olympic Peninsula may be too wet because you don't see it growing there either. It really likes where I live, which is on the eastern slope of the Cascades, and I see a lot in Leavenworth as well, but I've also seen some in the San Juan Islands, so it's a mystery. It really seems to like open forests, sometimes roadsides because it can get some more sun, and of course fields, again, it likes sun. And it does seem to prefer mountains, though I have seen it growing like next to the Sound. Today we are seeing a lot of Douglas fir, some ponderosa pine, and some larches where we're harvesting. The deer absolutely love them, so sometimes, like I saw a bush down the road where the deer had absolutely taken all the leaves off of the bush, and there was just some leaves on the very highest branches sticking up into nothing. We are going to use the berries. Keep in mind that this plant is emetic, which means that if you eat the leaf or the bark or even the seed or uncooked berry, it can make you feel a little bit nauseous and maybe throw up. It is used medicinally for that purpose in some cultures and has been used for that in the past here and in Europe, but herbalism doesn't favor throwing up very much anymore. So we want to harvest the whole berry cluster, and remember that animals like elderberries too, and in fact I've seen the native doves harvesting or eating elderberries in the fall here. So I am going to leave some of these beautiful elderberries on the bush. Thankfully, most of the bushes have some that are high enough, for example, those on the back side of the bush. They do have some that are high enough that I can't reach them. So that's kind of like a natural filter for leaving some for the birds. But I probably won't harvest more than 50% of what I find on a single bush because wildlife just doesn't have enough to eat as it is these days, and so it's important to leave them be. Wow, what a weight has been relieved from that branch. And look at these berries, they're absolutely amazing. I'm gonna pick one and squash it. Yeah, these berries you can eat 1 or 2 raw, you just don't want to eat too many. But in order to tell whether it's fully ripe, sometimes eating a berry can be a good idea. Make sure it's not astringent or like really bitter, and that berry tasted great. Keep in mind that elderberries are not sweet, right? Without sugar, that is. They don't taste very good. They're not just like I'm gonna snack on this berry kind of thing. They're more of a let's add sugar or let's make a tincture that's not supposed to be tasty anyway kind of thing. So I'm gonna get this one. Wow, guys. Wild. This one is like such a good cluster. It's so heavy. This thing is gonna really, woo! Might have just saved that plant from actually breaking its own branch, which is kind of funny. Many of you may know already that elderberry is used as an immune stimulant. It is an antiviral as well. A lot of people like to take it in the wintertime or in the cold seasons in the spring and the fall to prevent getting colds and flus. And it's kid safe too, so you can make elderberry syrup and give it to your kids. It is nice to cook elderberry preparations because the cooking actually destroys the compounds that make you nauseous and feel like you want to throw up, or make you do throw up. Syrup, usually we boil the berries in water and then add sugar, so that's a good preparation. You can make tincture as well, but keep in mind that if you take too much tincture, you might end up feeling nauseous. Some people are more sensitive to this than others, and that's okay. Another tip is that the stems are actually also have more of those emetic compounds in them. So when you get these home, you want to remove the berries from the stems. It's okay if you have little bits of stem in there, but maybe not this whole guy, right? And you can either snip them off or pull them off with your fingers, and you can even freeze them, making it a little bit easier to pull the berries off of the stem, which is helpful. You can also make elderberry jelly. You'll find a lot of recipes for that online. And that's really tasty. You can combine it with other fruits if you don't like the flavor by itself. And then it's like a little bit of immune boosting jam on your toast in the morning, which is kind of fun. Elderberry is also used in high doses for various types of viruses, so that's something to look into as well. It's best if you are already sick to take it right at the beginning of the cold because of the way it works. Once the virus is kind of like taken over your body, then it doesn't work as well. So take this at the very beginning when you first start thinking that you might be sick, and that'll work the best for you. We're gonna have to take these home and sort them out a little bit, take the dried ones out, probably let some of the bugs crawl out because there's usually bugs in elderberries that you pick outside. These are my frozen elderberries that have been in the freezer for about 24 hours, and they are coming right off the stems, so that's pretty cool. As you're about to see, this is a very scientific process. It begins by whacking the elderberry bag against a hard surface. Make sure that the bag is well sealed for this. And this actually knocks the berries right off the stems. You don't even need to do it with your fingers. You can see them loose in the bag like that. We're just going to pour them into this bowl so that we can remove the stems and little stem pieces. And look at that. They are like already basically off of the stems. Amazing. So we're going to get in there with our fingers, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but way less time than if we had done it fresh. So definitely recommend this method of taking the berries off. You can dry elderberries out. This saved a crazy amount of labor. I don't happen to own a dehydrator, put them back in the bag and put them back in the freezer and use them when I'm ready. Method in my hot sunroom. They are fairly hard to dry, and I don't recommend trying them unless you have a warm setup like this. They do mold because they're pretty juicy berries, but a dehydrator would work, and I've also done it in the oven, though I must say it took forever. So good luck on that. Let me know how it goes. If you're looking for more information on elder, elder is included in my book, along with some pictures for when you're out in the field. And I actually also do have a recipe for elderflower syrup and a recipe for elderberry syrup in here if you're looking for one. So it's called Medicinal Plants of the Pacific Northwest, and it's available on Amazon and for Mountaineers Publishing, my publisher. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you're interested in getting more information on foraging in the Pacific Northwest, feel free to subscribe to my channel and watch more videos.